For more on developments in the Middle East, we're joined by the President of the UN General Assembly, Dr. Ali Treki. Dr. Treki, welcome to Bloomberg News. Dr. Treki, do Secretary of State Clinton's remarks signal a shift in tone from the U.S.?
Well, yesterday when it was understood from her, was the day before, from her statement that on asking the Palestinians to start the direct negotiation with the Israeli, regardless of the settlement, people have talked this is a change of the United States policy, and that the United States policy has not really the engagement of President Obama at the beginning concerning the frozen settlement. Now it seems that Madam Clinton is correcting what she said 2 days ago, and she is talking about that the United States agreed on principle. In fact, this is the whole international community position.
Sir, the position of the international community in terms of freezing the settlement, is that an impediment to Middle East peace talks going forward? How is the Arab community responding to this?
This is one of the points of that the Committee of Four agreed upon as for the roadmap of the Palestinian settlement with the Israeli, and this is the freedom of settlement is the major factor in that. That's why I think the Palestinians, they are insisting on that.
I also want to ask you about some comments that Prime Minister Netanyahu has talked about, that an improved economy in the Palestinian region will be helpful to peace overall. But how do you improve that economy? What do you think is the first sort of most realistic step in improving a Palestinian economy?
Well, the economy, I think there is depends on not only on one factor. I think it depends on the two sides to agree to change economic side and to open the market. And there is no, if there is no unsettlement, if there is no peace in the Middle East, I doubt what's happened that will be really a growing economy in the occupied territory. It needs to be seen. That's why the Arab countries, if there is a peace, will recognize or the situation as it is, then they will establish the economic and diplomatic relation.
So the peace has to come first.
Yes,
before.
Of course.
Dr. Treki.
And even you have the economic now, we have to build the economy. There is another war, like what's happening in Gaza, that we're going to have a new destructive. You have to restart again, and this is the circle.
Dr. Treki, on Wednesday, the General Assembly is going to take up the Goldstone report. The U.S. voicing concerns about the recommendations of the report. Israel's rejected the findings, and this, as you know, goes back to what was going on in Gaza, and it implicates both sides, saying that there were perhaps war crimes committed by both sides. What is going to be the tenor of that meeting come Wednesday?
Well, this is the meeting will take place on the day after tomorrow, and this is under the request of the Arab group and the non-aligned group, and also the request of the Human Rights Council, who really sent me a letter and asked the General Assembly to cease with the matter. So the way we are going to discuss it on next on the 4th of November.
Does this present an opportunity, or does this present a challenge for the Obama administration and its Middle East strategy?
I don't think it will be really a challenge to the Obama. I think this is the reality of the situation, because you know this is human rights. You know, we can't have a different point of view concerning the political issues or concerning the economic issues, but normally concerning human rights we should have one voice. We cannot divide the human rights. And this is the Human Rights Council who asked for the investigation, and Goldstone and his group did a report which is endorsed by the Council, and now it's going to be discussed in the General Assembly. I don't think that the human rights can be divided. This is the basic foundation of the United Nations, human rights, I think.
I want to turn to Iran for a moment also, obviously a related issue. Mohammed al-Baradei saying that negotiations on Iran's nuclear program, he says, present a fleeting opportunity to reverse course from confrontation to cooperation. So what do you think should be the next steps, perhaps in this narrow window of opportunity?
I think it was really hopeful after the Vienna agreement that something will come out from this agreement. Now there is some delay. The Iranian, they would like to have more time. They have certain observation on the agreement have been reached in Vienna. Today, Mr. Brady spoke. He reported to the General Assembly today, and he spoke longly about that matter. And they are waiting now for the response of Iran.
Dr. Treki, we have about 30 seconds left. The situation in Afghanistan. Abdullah has withdrawn, and now it appears that Hamid Karzai will be reelected. Is that going to cause any tension between the United Nations and Afghanistan?
Well, I don't think so. You know, we have already in the United Nations last week, we have two meetings. One, we listened to the report from the Secretary General.
And there were some concerns about the election.
Yeah, and we condemned the attacks of terrorists against the United Nations personnel, and we lost five members of our staff in that attack. So the Secretary General himself is in Afghanistan, right, to talk with the president and the government. Yeah. We're hoping that they will reach an agreement. As far as the election, I think it is over now. There is one candidate who won.
Yeah. And we're going to have to keep it there. Dr. Ali Treki, the President of the UN General Assembly, joining us here at Bloomberg. Dr. Treki, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.